back to my YouTube channel. I think before I start the content of this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to the support, the love, encouragement from my first YouTube video. I did not expect that much support, recognition, just of something starting off. So I'm entirely grateful to everyone who commented, to everyone who watched the video, to everyone who liked it. Thank you so much. I am grateful for every single one of you. Yeah, it really means a lot to me that you guys are taking value out of my page. Someone is yelling. Okay. I'm trying to make a YouTube video. Anyways, there's gonna be noises going on absolutely everywhere. I'm trying to make an Instagram reel and I had banging, like someone's renovating the room next door. It's just so obnoxiously loud, but anyways, I'm not complaining. I'm in a new country. I'm very happy. If you're new to this page, welcome. I am an Australian citizen who's moved to Germany to pursue ITF Taekwondo. In order to encourage other people like yourself to pursue the things that scare you most. Something that you're interested in, please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll get into the content of the video. I figured a lot of my followers and obviously my subscribers would maybe like a little bit of an introduction, what I'm actually doing in Germany, my motivations for coming to Germany, etc. Put a Q&A on my Instagram to ask any questions that you guys might have about my move. So that's what this video is going to be about. Thank you so much to everyone who actually asked me a question. I'm really grateful. Let's get into the questions. Okay, so one of the questions that I got was, what is the hardest thing about moving abroad? The thing is, I was entirely shocked by how smooth the process was coming here and how everything just kind of felt like it fell into place. Even though I did experience some unexpected things, you can't anticipate everything that's going to happen when you move overseas, because there's just a lot of intricate details. But I think comparing my experience to all the experiences I kind of researched or tried to learn about before coming here seemed to be a lot smoother than that. Literally the first week that I came here, I managed to meet a bunch of people who kind of took me on board and welcomed me into their little group. I was lucky enough to have someone take me into her home so that I wouldn't have to pay for a hostel while looking for a place to stay. It took me 2 months to find this place that I'm in right now. Yeah, so for anyone wondering, oh, like she's in a new location, it's because I moved houses. So I'm officially in my own place. I was staying with a friend before. I came here knowing no one. I came here knowing nothing. So I think the absolute sheer luck of me being able to find people and the generosity and kindness of people being able to take me into their home without even knowing them, that's just like a really rare and fortunate experience that I was able to have. The landlord of this house is Greek and she was able to look at me as someone who hadn't found a job yet and still trust me enough to be able to pay rent. So again, really fortunate. I think just my personality, like I made a conscious effort before moving countries to say that no matter what like hardship I experienced, that I wouldn't let it deter me from what I was trying to do. Again, also really fortunate about the fact that my coach took me into his club, all the teammates took me in and accepted me as part of the team. I think it would have been really hard for me to come into this entire experience and shut off from everyone, but I was welcomed. So I can't really see anything as being difficult. I think the language, maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, is probably the hardest thing that I've experienced. Trying to buy a public transport ticket. Actually, yeah, it's probably the hardest thing. So everything organizing related, so like home internet, and I find an apartment, everything is in another language. I'm pretty hands-on, like I had an administration job in Australia when I was working, so I was always calling people, emailing people. It was just like a skill that I had. If you have a problem, you contact someone about it and it usually gets solved. So I was really hands-on in Australia with like problem solving, getting things done through communication. Like I had those communication skills, but applying them here in Germany was actually really difficult because I didn't know the language. So as much as I was fully capable of doing all the tasks that I needed to do, finding a place, finding a job, making like connections, It's just a lot harder when you can't speak the native language. So that's probably the hardest thing. Also, going into the supermarket, that was a huge learning curve, and trying to navigate. So again, I'm pretty good when it comes to navigation, like using Google Maps, trying to find my way around, usually really easy for me. I didn't have a lot of phone internet at the time, so trying to conserve that only for Google Maps was actually really hard. And just being in a new place, it takes a lot longer to get to places. So just to summarize, hardest thing about moving abroad, trying to settle in without knowing the language, so getting like all the administration stuff done. Trying to shop, so I didn't actually realize how long it would take me to do my first supermarket shop. Just like learn what all the items are, trying to figure out what the items are, even going into a pharmacy, like trying to figure out what body washes and shampoo is, and you're just kind of judging off the shapes and sizes and colors of the bottles, which actually like really gives you some insight into what to focus on when you're trying to market a product or create a product. Other than that, been an entirely smooth journey. I made it to my hostel, I made it to my taekwondo school, which was the main concern that I had. Friends relatively easily. I found this house. I think also just not having a place to stay, so like not being able to center myself and then build from there was really difficult. As you know, a routine is like key to being, oh my god, I've scratched myself. My skin is so sensitive. If I just like get itchy, it just goes red. Problems with having white skin. Routine was all over the place because obviously as soon as I got here, I just wanted to train twice a day, focus on my nutrition. Living in a hostel, I didn't have a kitchen, so that was really hard to like fuel appropriately because I was eating out all the time, and the food options here weren't that healthy. Oh my god, I'm sorry about the background. It's so inappropriate. Yeah, it's just the renovations going on. I need to make my video now. The spoiler. Having a routine is the foundation to everything. So like when you're not doing the same thing every day, you wake up and you don't know what your day is going to entail. It's really hard to get things done. I spent 15 minutes on that one question. That is ridiculous. What does a day in my life look like? A day in my life right now looks like me waking up. I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning. I have about an hour hip mobility and stretch routine. So that's how I start my day, and then I have breakfast, and then trying to learn a bit of German. And then I'm trying to get more exposure on my social medias, so TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So I'll usually spend a lot of my time editing videos, making Instagram reels, rewatching over my fights, and just trying to get exposure for my message and what I'm trying to do. You guys liking, subscribing, sharing my videos, much appreciated. It goes a long way and it really helps support what I'm trying to do. Obviously don't get paid to do taekwondo, so I need to try and find other financial means. And this is one of them, just kind of reaching out and trying to help other people. That's my morning, and then I haven't started yet, but ideally I'd like to be training twice a day. So I'd finish like all my morning posting, my morning routine around 11:30, 12:30, and then that's when I go hit the bag and train. So I'd either hit the bag, I'd go for a run, do some sprints, lift some weights. That's kind of what I'm looking at, just like some background conditioning for my fight state. Obviously lunch, and then my afternoons, I'm trying to get some learning in. So obviously taekwondo is not my future end all be all goal. Learning German, reading about nutrition, learning how to code, that's kind of like my afternoon block. Trying to educate myself really. Even though I didn't go to university, which will be a topic that I get into later, I'm still really passionate about education and learning. So that's still a fundamental aspect that I want to keep in my life. And I have to leave for training at about 5 o'clock every day because it takes about an hour. And then I'm reading on the train. Right now I'm reading this book. Actually, I've got it here. Recommended by a friend. It's called To Be a Machine, and it's basically about AI is taking over our civilization. A good read. The vocabulary is way past my own ability, but I'm still trying to soldier through it. It's been really difficult. So hopefully that gives you an insight into my life. What do I like more in Germany compared to Australia? Everything. A lot of people said the weather was going to be really bad here. Some days the sun is just, it doesn't fail to disappoint, ever. Does that even make sense? It just never disappoints. Yeah, okay, I'll just go with that. Not a question, but I'm glad you're living your best life. You guys are too sweet. Do I miss my family? A bit sad that I don't like always have him around or like coming into my room to tell me random things, but again, really grateful that I have like a supportive family. I think we're just so well connected nowadays that they're just like a phone call away, they're just a message away. And I guess it's not the same as having them there, but yeah, I'm really like focused and headstrong on what I want to do, and I know that like time spent away from my family get to me, then I won't be able to achieve the things that I want to achieve. I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing this to like elevate the state of my entire family. I'm doing this to elevate the state of whole sort of like thing is to give back to them and everything that they've been able to give to me. I feel like I come from a really privileged position, and I think I want to be able to use this move to express that. Like I have an opportunity to do something really great, inspire other people, make like a really big move. So as much as I miss them, I know that I'm doing this for them, and I think that gives me a lot of strength. I hope I'm not getting too deep with these. I feel like I say it really like lightheartedly, but anyway. Cool. If you're comfortable sharing, how did you sort out the finance side of things? I'm thinking of making like an entirely different video on this, just about like how much it costs to move abroad, all the things that I have to spend my money on. And I think it's becoming more common nowadays to talk about the financial side of things. I think just by having an open and honest conversation about it, we can kind of collectively elevate the financial state of all our young people. I basically worked for 2 years during COVID. Like I was really grateful and fortunate that I was able to work during COVID. So I basically just saved all my money, came from a really privileged position to be able to live at home and not have to pay anything. So yeah, I basically just saved a bunch of money and then came here, just splurge it all. What was the accommodation like? Any tips or things to look out for? The accommodation was really, really good. I was lucky enough to have a buffet breakfast. The only huge problem that I ran into was there was no kitchen. So eating out every day, really expensive. Definitely if you're planning to move abroad or just stay abroad, definitely stay in hostels. There's like this, especially from a lot of my friends, this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, negative connotation that hostels are like really dirty, really sleazy, really cheap. My hostel was cleaner than my own house, so I don't know what kind of state you guys live in, but yeah, I was in a really like spotless hostel. The only problem that I had was no fridge or kitchen. So if you're looking for a place to stay, make sure they have a fridge or kitchen. I couldn't find anything in Dortmund that had a fridge or a kitchen unless it was an Airbnb. And all the Airbnbs, by the time I wanted to book them, they were booked out. So look for a fridge or a hostel. Look for a fridge and a kitchen, one or the other, just so that you can store food, so you can like buy in bulk and store it. And if you can't find a place with a fridge or a hostel, look for an Airbnb. Preparation is key. Like the earlier you do things, the better. The more you know about what you want to do, the more you know about what your situation is, the better prepared you can be to make decisions, and it will just be less expensive. So obviously the more money you have, more you can afford to be like blasé and like last minute. But if you're on a budget, preparation is key. Like you want to know as much as you can, so you want to know where your money's going. Was I scared about moving, and can I speak the, I can't see the rest of that. I've been planning this move for 2 years, so no, I wasn't scared about moving. It was kind of like the break that I felt like I needed. Also, there was not really any risk in me moving. I had quite comfortable savings, so I knew that if things didn't work out, I could just go back home, or like if things didn't work out, I'd just be able to find like a really simple job and like live below my means. So yeah, I wasn't really scared. I mean, getting on the flight was kind of like, what the heck? It was definitely a new experience. Having like mini goals, so like, okay, get to the airport successfully, okay, get on your flight successfully, okay, get to the airport, get out of the airport successfully, get on the right train successfully. Just like little tiny steps, get to your hostel successfully, make it to point A, make it to point B, and just having all those little goals in mind, really small time frames, really specific, just helped me like not think of the bigger picture. If I was going from like Melbourne and thinking, okay, like, you know, make it and have all these friends, like I probably would have been really intimidated. But yeah, just taking it one step at a time and just having really good connection to my family and friends back home. I was able to contact them and update them about everything I was doing, and I think everyone was also really scared for me back home. They were kind of like, oh my god, where is she? Is she okay? Like, so yeah, I just had a really good support network, and I don't think I've continued on this topic before, but after COVID, just in general, like, we are really technologically advanced. I'm really well connected to pretty much everyone in the world just because of the internet. So I think that really helps and gives me some comfort, because it feels like there are people around me supporting me, even though they're so far away. Just like the internet helps connect people. It's entirely crazy. Also so impressed at your independence to move abroad. Thank you, I appreciate it. I hope that my moves can help like inspire, motivate other people to do things that they're scared of. I think I'll definitely make like a video going over finances. Yeah, again, I lived at home, I saved. I wasn't really motivated about, we couldn't really go out during COVID, so like I didn't really spend my money. I was just at home, or training or working, so that was literally my life. It wasn't enjoyable. Yes, I had a really strong goal in the back of my mind to be able to do this, so that's how I saved up. I don't think you need to have a full-time job and live at home with your parents to be able to save enough to make a move like this. I won't go into specific details about how much it costs just yet, but it's definitely doable, even if you have expenses hanging over the top of your head. I'm really fortunate that I don't need to find a job straight away, but if you do want to make a move like this, it's relatively simple and easy to get a job straight away, provided that you're not that fussy. But you know, there's restaurants everywhere. Everyone needs cleaners, everyone needs someone to cut up lettuce, everyone needs someone to clean toilets. Like, there's like little jobs everywhere. Like, everyone needs someone to stack shelves at a supermarket. If you speak English, that's another huge advantage. You can pretty much get any job, like at a call center, speaking English, because there's a lot of available jobs online. So getting money, also there's a lot of independent ways, like freelance ways to get money online nowadays. You don't need that much startup capital to do something like this. What made you decide to move? Yeah, I'll probably just end on this note. What made me decide to move? So essentially, I had this really deep realization when I was 18, 19, I think. And it was at the end of high school, and basically everyone was choosing which university course they wanted to go to, like what they wanted to do in their careers. And I just had this huge revelation. I have a really important decision to make right now. Either I go to university here in Australia and I pursue academia, which I'm really, really passionate about. Like, I did relatively well in high school. I extremely enjoyed learning. I extremely enjoyed reading, doing maths, learning about chemistry, learning French. Really, really passionate about it. It was a really huge decision for me to make, but at the same time, I was also really passionate about Taekwondo. And just with the state of Taekwondo in Australia and martial arts in general, if I was to go to university in Australia, there was no opportunity for me to train. I didn't really have any teammates that were interested in Taekwondo. I wanted to pursue it competitively. All the competitions for Taekwondo and kickboxing happen in Europe, so it'd be really expensive having to travel there all the time, and trying to balance that with work, study, it was just going to be really difficult. And I sat down and thought to myself, like, I'm not going to be able to make a decision like this when I'm 25, 30. You're going to be much older, your motivations and priorities are going to be entirely different in 5 years' time. So I thought, if I'm going to objectively look at my life, forget absolutely everything. Like, basically look at life as a blank canvas. Don't think about social status, don't think about other people's opinions, don't think about financial motives, don't think about any of the social like motivations and cues that kind of influence our decisions on a day-to-day basis. I don't know how to say that in better terms. If I'm going to do anything in my life, like, I'd want to tick that box. It doesn't really matter how much money I make. Like, you can't really put a value on that achievement. If you look back at your life, you got to think about, like, what are the things that you want to have done. Being a Taekwondo world champion is like a huge part of that. Or even, not even just like achieving like the top level, like Taekwondo world champion. Becoming the fighter that I knew I could be. I wasn't that good of a fighter in Australia. Like, I was good, I was on the verge of becoming good. I had the potential to be really good, but I wasn't good. I want to look back and say, like, yeah, I did that. It fulfilled my potential of becoming the fighter that I knew I could be. Because I think that's a huge regret that I'd have later in my life if I didn't pursue trying to be motivational, inspirational, trying to share my story with these people. Anyway, I'd really regret not pursuing this decision if I didn't make it. And yeah, it's really hard when it comes to thinking about putting off your financial security, putting off your development academically, or like in a career. Even though there's no direct financial merit for making this decision, it's really important for us as young people to not base our experiences based on how much financial merit they'll give us, but how much life experience they'll give us. Because at this age, there's probably no amount of money that can equate to the time that we have. Our brain is like a sponge right now. Like any information, any experiences that we have, they're going to build us and set the foundation for the rest of our lives. So making decisions, being independent, being really proactive, all those sort of habits, I feel like you need to build when you're younger, because yeah, if you're just kind of passive when you're young, you're kind of relying on your parents, or you're relying on a university institution, you're relying on like the government to direct or control your life, that's arguably, it's just going to set the foundation from how you base your decisions in the future. So I think by being independent right now, making these decisions, I'm hoping that in the future that will translate to financial merit. And also I think what I'm doing can provide a lot of value to other people. I think at my age I hear a lot about people not knowing what they want to do, being really stressed about like their future, but I'm hoping by making this decision that you can see that you don't have to have everything figured out, and you don't have to be stressed about not having everything figured out. And I'm pretty confident about putting off my studies to a later date and just like exploring my options now that I'm younger. There's this really heavy connotation in high school that you go to university, you have a career, and it's kind of like the career you have for the rest of your life. But if you just kind of take a step back, which is what I've done, separate myself from the security, financial security and emotional security of my family and my friends and everything, and you just kind of think about, okay, in the way that the world is structured right now, what do I need to do to survive? Like, there's a very bare minimum, and if you can just be grateful for the fact that you have a bed to sleep at night, you have food on your table, and then after that you can do anything that you want, it becomes a lot more liberating. Yeah, it also just teaches you to care less and less about what other people think. Just kind of live your life on your own terms, because yeah, there's no one path to life, as much as everyone tries to like put one path on like some kind of moral high ground. I really strongly believe that you should kind of play in the world that we've been given in and navigate based on the rules that there actually are, not based on the rules that like society has created, or like sometimes you feel pressured into. The pressure's kind of just in your own head. If you can step aside from that, be independent, I really think it will take you far. Okay, I've done it. I've answered all the questions. For my YouTube subscribers, if you had a question and you don't follow me on Instagram and you wanted to get a question in, leave it down in the comment box below, and I'll get to it. I might do a part 2 if you guys have any other questions. Hopefully I didn't get too deep for you guys. I'm probably just exposing my entire personality and opinions online. I'm just hoping that they'll help people. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you find some value in it. I hope you're inspired and motivated to make a decision in your life that you might be scared about. If you need any motivation, if you need any tips, if you have any struggles, let me know. Don't get it twisted. I don't have everything figured out. My life isn't picture perfect and it's not all rosy, but I still want to have these conversations and I still want to put that positivity out there. Just like a reminder, like, don't judge my entire life based on like a video. My life isn't perfect. I'm just gonna finish it there. I don't know how this video is gonna turn out. It was an entire mess with the renovations going on and with me just kind of like blurting all the ideas in my head. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like if you enjoyed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!